away from that. And because we're in Parliament and because we're talking about the budget, which basically talks about how we use our money and how government is using our taxes, I'm going to have a quick conversation about corruption. We do know that corruption is an age-old problem, and we know what age-old problems do. They create roots, so that it's very difficult to uproot them. But well, multimedia in collaboration with civil society organizations have taken upon ourselves to deal with this problem as best as we could. Kojo Youngson is here with me. We're going to talk about the Corruption Watch, which is an initiative that we started. Kojo, it's good to have you.
It's great to see you.
The last time I saw you here, you were hosting the show and you vanished.
Well, I never go farther.
I know. Okay, let's talk about corruption. I personally get a bit tired hearing about corruption. I really wish there's a different name for it, and I don't know if we will find one. But let's talk a bit about what Corruption Watch is seeking to achieve.
Right. Well, you're right. At a point, it gets a bit tiring talking about corruption and never seeing any real results.
Right.
Because, unfortunately, our news cycles are in such a way that we have to make room for the next bad thing that's happened or the next news story that's come along.
And the thing is that we have so many social problems to deal with, so it doesn't make it any easier.
So eventually, some of these cases start falling by the wayside. And once they fall by the wayside and the media stops giving it attention, the authorities stop feeling motivated to deal with them, and nothing gets done. And so it becomes a profitable venture for a person to be corrupt, because chances of being punished for it are very slim. And if you can ride out the scandal for a week, you're home dry. So Corruption Watch wants to apply a different method to the fight against corruption. We want to be in the face of the authorities who are supposed to take action, and we want to be constantly in their face. That means when a matter arises or a case is uncovered, we will not stop talking about it. We will not remove it from the social consciousness until something is done about it. So we are dedicating a specific period of time on the Super Morning Show every Wednesday to deal with these matters, so that it never falls between the cracks.
Today is Wednesday. Tell us what happened on the show.
Quite a lot. Today we brought back the case of the Central Medical Stores. Now, they burnt down in 2015, January 2015. Over a year later, because of the same problem I'm describing, over a year later, finally, the government then gave a statement of the findings of national security who had looked into this matter. 12 people were alleged to have conspired to burn down the Central Medical Stores simply to cover up some fraud and embezzlement that was going on there. They were stealing some drugs, selling expired drugs, procuring drugs at much higher than they were actually worth, and so forth. So to cover these crimes up, they burnt down the whole building. Burnt down 350 million cedis worth of life-saving drugs that had been given to us by our donors. Okay, 12 people are alleged to have done this. But guess what? 2016 January is when we heard about these 12 people. We are now in November 2017. Not one of them has been prosecuted. Because we haven't kept the flame alight on this matter.
Did we get any answers, by the way?
Well, we got some answers, but I don't know if you will like them. So what we learned was that the Attorney General's office found that the investigation that came up with those 12 names didn't have sufficient evidence for those 12 people to be taken to court. Okay, so essentially they've asked the police to go back and do a better job 3 years after it happened. Okay, now in addition, the Ministry of Health in 2016 did an audit to determine the extent of the crime that was occurring before the fire. New government comes in 2017, and guess what? They also want to do an audit. And
an audit has already been done.
Indeed. Now, we still haven't heard the results of the 2017 audit. So today there was supposed to be a press conference by the Ministry of Health to tell us, you know, the extent of the crime before the fire happened and who was responsible. But they postponed it to tomorrow. So the simple
Any reasons?
Well, we're yet to discover what the reason is. But the simple question the people of Ghana are asking is this: 350 million cedis of our money was burnt down by some people who are covering their own backsides. Are we saying that as a nation we are incapable of bringing these people to justice, if indeed they are the ones responsible for this? Are we saying we're not capable? 350 million cedis burnt, gone, also because we didn't insure those drugs. that were being kept at that location. Another thing that government takes so lightly, we don't insure state property, which is the property of you and I. The government doesn't apply enough importance to it to ensure it so that when somebody tries to do something so nefarious, we can still walk away with something left to save lives here in Ghana.
Tell us about what next with this particular story. I mean, the Ministry of Health, you say, was supposed to organize a press conference. That didn't come off.
They'll do it tomorrow.
They'll do it tomorrow. So hopefully there'll be some answers.
10 o'clock at the Ministry of Information. We will all be there to ask a few questions. Let's hope that there are some answers.
Okay.
But either way, we need to find out why this is not resulting in prosecution. And who is going to pay for this? Because that's the idea. Every crime of corruption costs us money. It steals from you and I. So we need to get that money back and make sure that it becomes less attractive for the next guy to come along and commit the same crime.
And to be involved in such acts of corruption. Let's look at what's next for Corruption Watch. I mean, in the coming days, in the coming weeks, months, what are we to expect?
Well, there's an anti-corruption week coming up in November.
Great.
Corruption Watch is going into overdrive for that week. So there'll be several things happening across the country, including some stunts, some very interesting stunts that we want you to keep your eye out for. Okay, we'll be doing certain things to demonstrate the real cost of corruption. So somewhere in your city, you're likely to see something very interesting to illustrate what corruption is doing to us. Because
otherwise we get used to the word corruption, and like I'm saying, it gets to a point when it doesn't pinch anymore. When you mention the name, it just it goes through here and then it goes out there. So it's like it will be good for us to make it tangible for people to feel corruption and to feel what how it's crippling us as a country. So that's really great. How are we using social media? Is there a way that people can be involved in this on social media?
The hashtag that we're using is WONAMONI. So that's WONAMONI. All across social media, we're using this hashtag. You can find Corruption Watch on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. I think we're CW Ghana on Twitter. We're Corruption_Watch. Corruption Watch _GH.
Okay, we need to get this
Instagram.
right.
Yes,
we
Corruption Watch _GH.
Corruption Watch _GH.
Yes, on Instagram.
Corruption Watch _GH. Please look out for that one and join in the conversation. This is a necessary fight. Just as we've been able to fight Galamsey, it is going on in some places, but this is obviously a way to go. This is obviously a starting point. So to what extent are we engaging social media, Kojo? What can people do? Are they just to, say what they think about corruption, or maybe is it another need for them to put in reports?
Well, let's keep the conversation going. But if you go to our website, okay, which is stopcorruptionghana.org, there is an opportunity for you to tell us your corruption story. Okay, so whatever it is that you have seen that's going wrong in your area that you want us to investigate, to look into, you can communicate with us confidentially, and we will get on the case because that's what we're here to do. We want to shine a light on all the dark corners where corruption thrives. All right, finally, we have what could be Ghana's best weapon in the fight against corruption, but it won't work unless you engage with it as well. So we look forward to hearing from you.
And don't forget, it won't work unless you show interest and unless you help us with this. This is about you and I. This is about us, and we have to put in that. Kojo, do you have the heart for this, really?
What I know is that somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Now, I know it's not going to be easy. I have a feeling this is going to affect my health somewhat. But somebody has got to do it. That's the reality of the fight against corruption. The more people stay quiet, don't stand up and speak against it, the more. And we're getting to a point where our society now sees the corrupt as normal and the honest as abnormal.
Right.
We reward the corrupt. We give them the biggest positions in society, in church, in hospitals, in schools, whatever. It's the corrupt who seem to make the world go round. And in fact, when you give a position to somebody and they don't use it to enrich themselves, we think they're stupid. I don't know how we got to this point, but it has to be reversed.
I don't know either. I was having a conversation not long ago with a very good friend of mine in a very high position, and he was distraught at the extent of corruption that is like, staring at him in the eye and drawing him closer. And the more he resists, the harder it gets for him to do his work. But anyway, we'll see how it goes, Kojo. I'm very hopeful of this. I know it won't be easy. I know it will be frustrating. I know it will give people a lot of headaches and heart attacks, but it has to be done, like you said. Kojo, thank you so much for passing through.
Always a pleasure.
Kojo Yankson is the host of the Super Morning Show, and it is all about Corruption Watch. You've got to stay tuned, you know, to all our platforms here at Multimedia, especially on the Super Morning Show, because they are running this. Kojo is running this, you know, and we hope that we'll keep shining the light on this to be able to get. Okay, I'm just hearing from production, Kojo, that you have a video.
Yes, we've put together something to remind you of the Central Medical Stores case. You need to check this out. It's quite disturbing.
Okay, Kojo, thank you so much. Let's watch that video now. But once it's ready, we'll bring it to you. But Kojo, give us highlights, just in case someone is not able to wait and watch. What is it in this video? All
right, so we're simply breaking down the matter, okay? We talk about when the fire happened, when the report came out. We talk about the value of the amount of money that was lost in this fire, 350 million cedis, okay, for 2018's budget. The entire goods and services budget of the Ministry of Health is 350 million cedis. So essentially every product and service that the Ministry of Health will buy in 2018 could have been paid for by the value of what we lost in that fire. That's how corruption steals from you and I. Right,
and 380 million can actually do a whole lot. We're looking at a free SHS implementation that is problematic. People can't, I mean, we're looking at our students who are defecating in polythene bags and throwing them away, and they're eating food that's not healthy. There's so many things going on.
That's the real cost of corruption.
Exactly.
350 million would build 206 classroom blocks. Classroom blocks, yeah, 200 of them.
Well, I think the going along, one of the things that we should be doing perhaps is to put value on the amount that we're using.
Corruption Watch does that all
Corruption Watch does that. So keep your eyes on Corruption Watch, and you get to know just how much we're losing and just how much that amount we're losing could have achieved for us as a country. I think that I'm going to have to let Kojo go at this point. Kojo, thank you so much. I won't take any more of your time.
Well, I was just enjoying myself.
I know.
Always nice to see you. Thank you.
It's nice to see you, Kojo. We hope to see you once again doing the show. Okay, it's all about Corruption Watch. It's hard. Sometimes it's frustrating when the answers aren't coming, but we have to talk about it, and so we are.